the first woman from the Philippines to defeat a Grand Slam champion.
Billion-dollar bombshell, Eala's secret Apple empire, political knockout, and hidden life exposed. What's up, tennis fanatics and drama lovers? Welcome back to Champions Tennisitics, where we serve you the hottest, most explosive stories from the tennis world before anyone else even picks up a racket. If this is your first time here, buckle up, because you've just stumbled into the wildest ride in sports journalism. And if you're already part of the family, you know exactly what's coming. Pure, unfiltered chaos that'll have you questioning everything you thought you knew about your favorite athletes. Today, we're not just talking about drop shots and volleys. Oh no, we're diving headfirst into a story so insane, so utterly bonkers, that Hollywood would reject the script for being too unrealistic. We're talking secret billion-dollar business deals with tech giants, explosive political confrontations on live television that left an entire nation speechless, undercover charity missions that would make Batman jealous, and training sessions with legends that are literally reshaping the future of tennis. This isn't just sports news, folks. This is a revolution, and it's being led by a 19-year-old Filipino powerhouse who's rewriting every rule in the book. Before we unleash this avalanche of jaw-dropping revelations, do me a massive favor. Hit that subscribe button right now for Champions Tennisitics. Seriously, if you don't subscribe, you're going to wake up tomorrow and everyone around you will be talking about what we covered today, and you'll be sitting there like a confused tourist. Don't be that person. Join the family. Hit the bell icon. And get ready to have your mind absolutely destroyed by what we're about to reveal about Alexandra Maniego Eala. Let me paint you a picture. You're sitting in your living room, scrolling through your phone, half watching some boring political debate on television. The politicians are doing what they always do. Talking in circles, making promises they won't keep, trying to score cheap points off each other. Standard Tuesday night programming, right? Wrong. Because on this particular evening, something happened that shattered the monotony and created a moment so explosive, so utterly savage, that it instantly became the most talked about event in Philippine media history. The scene was a nationally televised discussion panel, supposedly centered around national unity and the role of athletes in society. The guests included various political figures and, somewhat unusually, Alexandra Eala herself. Now, you have to understand the context here. Alex is known for being diplomatic, measured, and professional. She's the girl who smiles through tough interviews, deflects controversy with grace, and keeps her focus squarely on tennis. She's media-trained to perfection. But what the politicians on that panel didn't realize was that there's a massive difference between being polite and being a pushover, and they were about to learn that lesson the hard way. Enter Eala de Lima, former senator and a political figure known for her sharp tongue and aggressive debating style. The conversation had turned to LGBTQ+ advocacy in the Philippines, a sensitive and politically charged topic. De Lima, apparently seeing an opportunity to make headlines, decided to put Alex Eala in her crosshairs. In what can only be described as a catastrophically bad judgment call, she accused the young tennis star of hypocrisy and betrayal for not actively participating in a specific political campaign. Let that sink in for a moment. A seasoned politician, decades older, publicly attacking a teenage athlete on live television, calling her the biggest traitor and hypocrite she'd ever encountered. The studio went silent. You could feel the tension through the screen. The moderator looked like he wanted to crawl under his desk. Production staff were probably frantically checking if they could cut to commercial. But Alex sat there perfectly still, her expression unreadable, letting de Lima's words hang in the air like a bad smell. For about 4 agonizing minutes, she said nothing. She just looked at the politician with those dark, calculating eyes, and you could practically see the gears turning. De Lima, perhaps interpreting the silence as weakness or fear, decided to double down. She leaned forward, that condescending smirk on her face, ready to twist the knife a little deeper. Big mistake. Huge. What happened next will be studied in communication classes for decades. Alex Eala leaned forward, matched de Lima's gaze with the intensity of a championship tiebreaker, and delivered 3 words with such cold, devastating precision that the entire country collectively gasped. 3 words. 17 letters. Infinite impact. She looked directly at the former senator and said, with perfect clarity and zero hesitation, "Shut up, prisoner." The explosion was instantaneous. Social media didn't just break, it vaporized. Within seconds, clips of the exchange were trending worldwide. The studio audience was in shock. The moderator had completely lost control of the panel. And Eala, the woman who had spent her entire career dominating conversations and bulldozing opponents? She was speechless. Actually, genuinely speechless. But Alex wasn't finished. She followed up with a verbal dismantling so thorough, so devastatingly effective, that political analysts are still dissecting it days later. She systematically addressed every point, called out the hypocrisy of being attacked for not participating in politicized campaigns while being expected to represent the nation through sports, and made it crystal clear that while she respects her elders and her country's leaders, she will not tolerate being disrespected or used as a political pawn. The most remarkable part? She never raised her voice. She never lost her composure. She was surgical, methodical, absolutely brutal in her honesty, but never crossing into disrespect. It was a masterclass in standing your ground, and by the end of it, Eala de Lima did something that shocked everyone watching. She apologized. Right there, on national television, a veteran politician who never backs down was forced to eat crow by a teenager with a tennis racket and an iron spine. The phrase, "Shut up, prisoner," became an instant cultural phenomenon in the Philippines, spawning memes, merchandise, and endless debates about whether Alex went too far or said exactly what needed to be said. Here's what's important to understand. This wasn't some rehearsed moment or planned publicity stunt. This was a young woman refusing to be bullied, standing up for herself, and showing an entire generation that you don't have to accept disrespect just because it comes from someone older or more powerful. Within hours, support for Alex was pouring in from all corners. Athletes, celebrities, ordinary citizens. Everyone was talking about how she'd handled herself with grace under fire. The girl who was supposed to be an easy target for political point scoring had instead become a symbol of standing up for yourself and refusing to be pushed around. But if you thought that political fireworks were the biggest story of Alex Eala's week, you need to sit down, because we're about to enter territory that sounds like pure fantasy. While politicians were trying to tear her down on television, the most powerful people in the business world were trying to build her up into something unprecedented. We're not talking about sneaker deals or energy drink sponsorships here. We're talking about the kind of money that makes professional athletes weep and financial advisors need to sit down. The whispers started shortly after Alex's dominant performance at the recent SEA Games qualifiers. Scouts and agents from major brands had already been circling, but apparently, someone from way higher up the food chain had been watching. Tim Cook, the man who runs Apple, the most valuable company on planet Earth, had apparently taken a very personal interest in the young Filipino tennis star. Now, when I say interest, I don't mean he thought she'd look good in an Apple Watch commercial. I mean he saw in her something that transcends sports entirely. According to sources close to the negotiations, and these are sources who would lose their jobs if they were caught talking, so take this as seriously as a match point. Tim Cook made a decision that has board members at Apple both excited and terrified. He didn't send a marketing executive to offer Alex a standard endorsement deal. He didn't have his people draw up a nice contract for a few $1 million and some free products. No, according to reports that are making the rounds in Silicon Valley and Manila business circles, Tim Cook himself got involved in structuring a deal so massive, so revolutionary, that it basically invents a new category of athlete compensation. The numbers being floated are absolutely insane. We're hearing reports of a $1 billion cash investment. Let me repeat that so it sinks in, $1 billion in cash. Not paid out over decades. Not in stock options that might be worth something someday. Actual money. But wait, it gets crazier. On top of that billion-dollar foundation, sources claim the deal includes an additional $500 million annually over a 10-year period. Let's do the math together, because I want to make sure we're all on the same page about how absolutely bonkers this is. That's $1 billion up front, plus $500 million per year for 10 years, which equals another $5 billion. We're talking about a $6 billion deal. $6 billion. To put that in perspective, The highest-paid athlete endorsement deals in history typically cap out around $1 billion total, spread over many years. Michael Jordan's entire relationship with Nike, the most successful athlete-brand partnership ever, took decades to build to those values. Roger Federer's deal with Uniqlo was $300 million over 10 years, and that was considered groundbreaking. What Tim Cook allegedly put on the table for Eala makes every previous sports marketing deal look like pocket change. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This isn't just an endorsement deal. According to insiders, Cook's vision is to make Eala the face of Apple Asia, which isn't just a title or a marketing slogan. We're talking about giving her actual equity stakes in regional subsidiaries, making her a legitimate business partner with decision-making power, and positioning her as the bridge between Apple's Silicon Valley culture and the exploding Asian market. Cook reportedly told his team that Alex represents everything Apple wants to embody: youth, excellence, determination, and authentic connection to emerging global markets. He doesn't just want her to sell products. He wants her to help shape the company's entire Asian strategy for the next decade. Now here's the part that has everyone in the business world absolutely losing their minds. When Tim Cook laid out this empire-building proposal, expecting the 19-year-old across the table to be overwhelmed and immediately sign, Eala did something that nobody expected. She looked at the offer, looked at arguably one of the most powerful CEOs in the world, and responded with exactly 17 words. The exact transcript of those 17 words is apparently the most closely guarded secret in Silicon Valley right now. People who were in the room have been sworn to confidentiality, and the only thing that's leaked out is Tim Cook's reaction, which sources describe as stunned respect, followed by genuine admiration. Whatever Alex said in those 17 words, it wasn't, "Thank you, where do I sign?" Insiders suggest she negotiated terms that ensure she's not just a pretty face on advertisements, but a genuine voice in strategy meetings. She apparently wanted guarantees about how she'd be portrayed, insisted on approval rights for campaigns, and demanded that a significant portion of the money be directed toward youth sports initiatives in Southeast Asia. She didn't just take the money and run. She made sure the deal aligned with her values and her long-term goals. A teenager negotiating with Tim Cook and walking away with terms that make her a legitimate business mogul is the kind of thing that shouldn't be possible. But Eala apparently didn't get the memo about what's possible and what isn't. If this deal closes as reported, and sources suggest it's nearly finalized, Eala won't just be the richest female athlete in history. She'll be one of the wealthiest athletes, period, regardless of gender, and she'll have done it before even reaching her physical prime as a player. She'll have more money than most players make in entire Hall of Fame careers, and she's still a teenager. The implications are staggering. How does this change her approach to tennis? Does she still feel the same hunger to compete when she's already financially set for 10 lifetimes? How do opponents approach matches against someone who's transcended the sport entirely? Now, you might be thinking that with $1 billion landing in her lap and politicians literally apologizing to her on national television, Eala might be getting a bit of a big head. You might think she's bought a mansion, hired a fleet of assistants, and forgotten what it's like to be a regular person. And that's exactly why what I'm about to tell you is so important, because it reveals who Eala really is when nobody's watching. For years, there's been a mystery in the United Kingdom that has puzzled the staff at a particular veterans' home. This facility, which provides care for elderly military veterans who serve their country with honor, was facing closure. Government funding had been cut, donations had dried up, and they were literally counting down to the day they'd have to turn these heroes out onto the street. The building was falling apart, the heating system was failing, and they could barely afford food. Then, out of nowhere, a miracle happened. A massive check arrived in the mail. No name attached. No press conference announcing the donation. Just money, exactly when it was needed most, enough to keep the lights on and the pantry stocked. Add to that her first WTA 125 title in Guadalajara and her finals appearance at Eastbourne, and you have an athlete who is making history every time she competes. Every match is a statement. Every victory is a milestone. Every time she walks onto a court, she's representing not just herself, but an entire nation that has waited decades for a tennis star of this caliber. For a visionary like Sheikh Ahmed, investing in Eala isn't just about being a fan. It's about aligning himself with the future of the sport. He sees what everyone paying attention sees, a future Grand Slam champion in the making. He's not throwing money at an established legend who's already secured their legacy. He's betting on potential, on hunger, on the kind of fighter mentality that can't be taught or bought. This story also highlights a fascinating trend that's been developing in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia and the UAE have been pouring billions into sports, particularly tennis. They're bringing in top tournaments, building world-class academies, and trying to position themselves as the new frontier of global tennis. But usually, these investments come in the form of tournament sponsorships or facility development. This is different. This is personal. A $5 million birthday invitation isn't about business. It's about passion. It signals that Eala has transcended the category of athlete and entered the realm of global icon. She's no longer just the pride of the Philippines. She's becoming a name that resonates in the luxury markets of Dubai, in the boardrooms of multinational corporations, in the conversations of people who have the resources to turn admiration into action. The Eala effect, as fans are now calling it, is spreading like wildfire across social media. When news of this $5 million package leaked, the internet exploded. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every platform lit up with reactions. Some fans are calling it the ultimate simp move by the Sheik, though that seems like a shallow reading of what actually happened. Others are praising him for supporting women's tennis in such a tangible, generous way. One viral tweet read, "Alex Eala getting $5 million to cut a cake is the level of success I aspire to. Absolute queen behavior." Another comment that gained massive traction said, "The Sheik crying at her speech proves that Alex Eala is humble even when she's dripping in luxury. That's exactly why we love her. She's never forgotten where she came from." The story combines everything people love: massive wealth, sporting excellence, and an emotional core that feels genuine in a world that often feels manufactured. It reminds us that athletes aren't just entertainers or competitors. They're heroes. They're symbols of possibility. They inspire people from all walks of life, from the kid hitting tennis balls against a cracked wall in Quezon City dreaming of something better, to the oil tycoon in a penthouse suite in Dubai who has everything except the pure joy of watching someone fight for their dreams. Eala bridges that gap. She represents the universal truth that dedication, heart, and authenticity matter more than privilege or circumstance. What does this mean for Eala's future beyond the immediate bank balance boost? The doors that have opened for her are massive. Rubbing shoulders with Dubai's elite means potential endorsements and partnerships that most tennis players never access. We could be looking at deals with luxury airlines, high-end watch companies, global fashion brands, maybe even tech companies looking to align with her inspiring story. Her marketability has skyrocketed. But here's what's amazing. Reports indicate that Eala was back on the practice court within days of returning from Dubai. The glitz and glamour of the BOMBSHELL Arab are nice, but they're not why she plays tennis. Her eyes remain locked on the prize, a Grand Slam title. She stated publicly that her goal for the upcoming season is to make a deep run at the Australian Open, and honestly, who would bet against her at this point? She's got the game, the confidence, the momentum, and now the financial backing of a billionaire superfan. That's a powerful combination. There's also speculation about what comes next in this relationship between Eala and Sheikh Ahmed. Will he become a regular presence in her player box at major tournaments? Will there be future collaborations or sponsorship deals? Some insiders are suggesting that the Sheikh is considering funding a tennis academy in the Philippines to help develop the next generation of talent, with Eala as the face of the program. Imagine the impact that could have. Kids who currently have no access to quality coaching or facilities suddenly having a world-class academy in their own country, inspired by and potentially mentored by their national hero. That's the kind of legacy-building move that transforms sports in entire regions. If that happens, this $5 million birthday party might end up being remembered not as an extravagant gesture, but as the beginning of something that changed Philippine tennis forever. The cynics will say this is just another story of wealth flexing on poverty, of a billionaire buying access to someone they admire. But that's a shallow reading. Yes, the money is obscene. Yes, the luxury is outrageous. But at the heart of this story is something beautiful. A genuine fan supporting an athlete they believe in, and that athlete responding with grace and authenticity that transformed a birthday party into a moment of real human connection. In a world that often feels transactional and superficial, this story reminds us that sincerity still matters. Authenticity still cuts through. And sometimes, the most valuable thing you can give someone who has everything is the reminder that they're seen, appreciated, and understood. So what do you think? Was $5 million too much for a 2-hour appearance? Or does Eala deserve every single penny of it? What do you think she said in that speech that made a hardened billionaire break down crying? Do you think Sheikh Ahmed will show up courtside at the Australian Open? Drop your theories and reactions in the comments below because we want to hear from you. This is the kind of story that gets people talking, and we love the conversation. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the most extravagant birthday invitation in sports history, smash that like button. Share this video with every tennis fan you know because trust us, they need to hear this story. The Champions Tennisitics community is growing every single day, and we want you to be part of it. Hit that subscribe button right now and ring the notification bell so you never miss our next exclusive breakdown. We're bringing you the stories that nobody else is covering, the insider information that reveals what's really happening behind the scenes in the tennis world. We've got some explosive Australian Open intel coming your way in the next video that you absolutely cannot miss. Thank you for watching Champions Tennisitics, your home for the champions of today and the legends of tomorrow. We'll see you in the next one. And remember, in tennis and in life, stay hungry, stay humble, and keep fighting for your dreams.